I'm from Calais Creations. At Calais Creations, I currently do watercolour art, graphic and textile design, as well as host creative workshops throughout Brisbane and the Gold Coast region. In today's online tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make a chunky knit merino puff cushion. What you'll need today to do this tutorial is a 750 gram ball of merino wool, a 30 centimeter round cushion insert, a pair of scissors, and 30 centimeters or so piece of baker's twine. All of these materials can be purchased today from my do-it-yourself chunky knit wool kit on my website, which is www.calaiscreations.com. I'll place a link below the video in the comments as well. To start off today, it's always great to work on a smooth surface, such as a table, or if it's more comfortable for you, you can sit down on the ground, but instead of knitting on top of your carpet, it's a great idea to lay a sheet down to keep the surface smooth, which will prevent your wool from catching on any abrasive surfaces and pilling where the fluff will come off. So today I'll be making reference to a few different terms. One is called the working yarn, and this is what we call the ball of wool or ball of yarn is the working yarn, and this over here is what we call the tail, which is the dangly bit from the end. I'll also be talking about loops or stitches, which basically a loop or a stitch is just a circular when I've made a new loop or a stitch, if that helps. So to start with making our cushion, today we want to make a slip knot, and how we do that is I grab the tail piece of the wool and I hold it to my left down on the table. I pick up about 30 centimeters towards the working yarn over here. I pick up the wool up into the air and I pivot my hand to make a loop on the table. It's important to note that this section of the working yarn, of the loop is actually attached to the part where the working yarn is. This goes over the top. So again, we pull it up, pivot our hand, place the loop down on the table, and we insert our left hand through this loop and grab onto this working yarn here and pull it through. That will make your slip knot. You want to be aiming for a slip knot, or this is now a loop or a stitch, of about 5 or 6 centimeters big. We'll do it one more time. Make a slip knot, make a new loop, insert your hand, pull the new working yarn through, and that's your slip knot. Now we want to be casting on 10 stitches. I work from the left to the right when I do this. I insert my left hand into this loop, I grab onto this working yarn and pull it from behind through this stitch and pull it out open through, and it looks like a plait. Again, you insert your left hand through the new loop you've just made, grab onto this working yarn, pull it from behind and through the new stitch to create a new one. And I lay it down flat on the table. We do this a total of 10 more times. If you can remember as you're working, it's not essential, but it's a great idea to twist the wool as you work, which can also help prevent the pilling. How we count how many stitches we've done is by counting the side of the stitches here. So I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Need to do 5 more. So I keep inserting my hand and pulling the new wool from behind through the new stitch. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 more. 9. Now that we've created our 10 stitches, we want to join this together in a circle, and we will begin to knit around in an anti-clockwise direction, building up our cushion outwards. So the first step to do is hide the tail away, and you want to take the side with the tail in your hand, in your left hand. You want to grab the last stitch that we just made in your right hand. You want to form it into a circle on the table in front of you, keeping the tail out of the way. Make sure that the two pieces of wool butt together. Now also, if you just plump your wool a little bit, you can see how it should look in front of you is the sides of the wool looking at you in the face. Now you want to be inserting this working yarn over here into the first stitch available, into the top part of the stitch. So if you can see where my finger is coming through, again, just showing you from this angle, your finger's going in through here. And you're bringing the working yarn around from behind your work and pull the wool through towards yourself, up and out, which will create a new stitch. Then you're going to continue to do that same maneuver all the way through each of these individual stitches. So to show you where the next stitch would be, it's in the top section, and this is the next stitch. You put your hand or your finger through there, grab the working yarn, pull it through towards yourself to make a new stitch. It's important with your tension to keep your loops as close as possible to the same size each time you make a new loop or stitch. This just helps keep it nice. You don't want it too large, your loops. This will make your cushion gappy, and you don't want it too tight or it'll be difficult to work with and you won't have enough wool left for your project. So I'm going to continue on around this circle, making new stitches in every hole until you come to the other side. I keep spinning my work as I go as well. Now I'm just about up to the last stitch that I made before when I was joining the two together. You can see there is another stitch here that I can insert my finger into and pull the working yarn through, and then it looks like I have two loops coming out of the same stitch from before. This is fine, and this is sometimes helpful for the finished product. It's not essential if you miss that step, don't worry. But now that we've done that, we're going to start inserting our hands into each of the loops now, and you bring the working yarn from behind through towards yourself. And see, that's making that nice plait effect. Again, now I come over into this loop, insert my hand, grab the working yarn and pull it through. And now it's as simple as completing that same step over and over and over again for around 3 rotations. We can do this. So insert your hand into this loop, pull through the working yarn to create a new stitch. Another great tip at this point is that we don't want our stitches or loops to cross over. So when you're inserting your hand, make sure there is a nice circular feel here when you're inserting your hand through and pulling through the new loop or stitch. If sometimes you cross this over, it won't have the same desired effect. Again, I'm working in an anti-clockwise direction. And now I will continue this now for 3 rotations around anti-clockwise, and we'll come back and I'll teach you how to close the face of the cushion. So now once you've gone around in an anti-clockwise direction about 3 rotations, you're now ready to close off your cushion face. We're going to be using the baker's twine, so you'll need that for this part of the tutorial, and we're going to be threading it into each of these front stitches here, and I'll show you how to do that. So you take one end of your baker's twine and you insert it to any of the stitches. So to show you where the stitch is, I can insert my finger here and there's a stitch there. So that's where I'm going to thread my twine through. And you want to pull it all the way through to about 10 or 15 centimeters coming the other side. Then you want to keep a hold of the end of your twine and you want to come backward. You want to again go from the inside to the outside in the next stitch. You want to thread it through and then pull. You can see that that conceals the piece of twine. So again, holding your twine, you want to insert from the inside of the cushion towards the outside. Again, that's concealing the wool, and just pull a little bit. Just make sure you don't pull all the way through, otherwise this will fall out. So again, you're going from the inside, inserting the twine through one of the stitches and pulling. This is starting again from the inside to the outside, and again from the inside to the outside, and you want to do this in every single stitch all of the way around until your two pieces of string meet back up in the middle. Now sometimes here you might see your knot where your slip knot where you first started off your cushion. You can just maneuver that or zhuzh that out of the way, and I'm again just going to find the next stitch, and from the inside to the outside thread it through, and from the inside to the outside thread it through. So now these two pieces are meeting back up in the middle. Now what you can do is create a drawstring effect by holding both pieces of string, pulling tautly, and then pushing down on your pieces of twine, bringing in or drawing in the stitches within the cushion. And this is what's creating one side of the face of the cushion. So you want to do this very tightly, and then you want to make a school shoe tie really tight, really tight, and then do a double knot to secure that. Then you want to hide the pieces of string, poke it back through towards the table, because this is going to be the outside of your cushion that we are working on. You just push it through. What we want to keep doing is knitting in an anti-clockwise direction for another 1 or 2 rotations. A really great tip at this point is to ensure you're keeping your stitches nice and tight, or so you can't see lots of holes or gaps everywhere, is when you are inserting your hand to make and pulling the working yarn through to make your new stitch. It's a really great idea to try to grab the wool as close as possible to the last stitch that you made and thread that through. See how that keeps that nice and close in width. If I was to say grab a section sort of somewhere way over here of the working yarn and put that through, you can see that there'd be a big loose gap here. So we want to avoid that. So again, you want to grab this wool close to where you made your last stitch, grab the working yarn, insert your hand, grab the working yarn through from behind and pull the new stitch up towards yourself. And again, just keeping all of your loops as close as possible in size that you can. I just keep turning the work as I go, and you can just do this for another 2 rotations, and then I will show you what to do next. my work over and place the cushion insert on top of the wool. Then we know how much more knitting we need to do to finish our project. So it doesn't really matter where you're up to, you can just flip it over at any stage, and then we'll be sort of working a little bit differently. So I flip it over, so what you should see now is your 2 pieces of string that we poked through before that help tie it together, and the tail. We're just going to keep that on top and grab our cushion insert and place this. You can place this on top of your wool. But just so I can continue showing you what we need to do now, is now where we were working in an anti-clockwise direction, now we'll be working in a clockwise direction. We're sort of reversing everything that we were just doing. So now this was the stitch where I was up to, and now I just need to follow it along and come in an anti-clockwise direction. And now how you will create your stitches from here, because we're sort of doing it in reverse, is you'll be pushing your wool down into the loop. So you can grab your loop, grab your working yarn and push it down into this stitch, and that creates the new stitch. Each stitch now you want to see having a bar across it, where before it was a V shape. So again, you want to twist your wool, we're getting the next stitch, we're putting the working yarn over the top and pulling it down through the loop to make our new stitch. And again, just remembering that little trick to grab this part of the wool and thread it through versus grabbing it over here somewhere. This will just keep your stitches tighter. And you now will just continue this all of the way until you're nearly finished your ball of wool. You want to have about an arm's length left of wool to close off your cushion. Just be careful, sometimes when you make a new stitch, sometimes the last stitch wants to fall out. So just keep an eye on that. And a way to combat that is just to make your loops a little bit bigger. So when you tug on this one to fix it up, this one doesn't fall out as well. Okay? Again, you can put your cushion insert on top of your work now so you can see where you are up to. When you know you'll be getting close to finish off your cushion is if you have either an arm's length of of material left, or if you can fold up the edges of your cushion and they can all touch in the middle. So we'll keep going. We're not there yet. As you can see, we're just about finished the cushion here. The ends are nearly touching. I've jumped ahead a little bit on the video, but we just keep making our new stitches in each of the loops as we've been doing. So over the top, pulling down to the bottom. And once all of the loops are touching, we can start to close off our cushion. So as you can see, I've got a little bit more than an arm's length left of wool, but it depends on your tension how much you'll have left. So the good indicator is if all of these are touching, you can start to close off your pillow. So how we close off the pillow is you'll need to cut your excess wool so that you have about an arm's length of wool left. Again, just be really sure that it's all going to be matching up and that you're happy with how the cushion is looking with your tension as well, in case you want to undo it and redo it. But I'm fairly happy with this, so we're going to close this off. So how we will go about doing that, I'm just going to make one more stitch along. So we're now going to close off the pillow. So grab your scissors and cut your wool so you have about an arm's length left. And just discard the excess wool. Now, with the tail that you've just cut, you want to, from the outside in, you want to thread the tail through your stitch, just the next one that you were going to be up to. And you want to pull it all the way through. And then you want to do that again. You want to grab your tail, you want to insert it from the outside in to the next stitch along and pull it all the way through. So it's making a bar here, closing it off. Again, same all the way around. And then we're going to close it like a drawstring effect. Just keep spinning as you go. Always from the outside to the inside. And we've got 2 more left. Okay. And once you have threaded it through all of the loops, you can start to draw it all together. You might want to stand up for this part if you're sitting down at a table. Now don't pull too tightly, otherwise you can snap your wool. So just gently tug and maneuver, because there's a piece of wool in here bringing it all together. So just tug here and just move it around. Bring your wool in closer together, pushing it here. This will help thread it through a bit easier. Sorry, I've had to jump around again on the video. My space is running out. But again, we're just about ready to close it all off. So you pull it nice and taut. It's created this lovely star shape effect here. And then you just want to cut the wool again and thread it through these little stitches to just secure it in place. You don't need to tie an additional knot. Just pull on that. Grab the tail end and insert it through the following stitch, pull it all the way, and then see how that's securing that, and grab the tail again, insert it through here with the next stitch and pull it tight, and so on and so forth until you've threaded it all. Probably thread it 1 rotation and then just trim any excess. And hide it. And there you have it, a chunky knit cushion. So here it is, all finished, the Chunky Knit Merino Puff Cushion. I hope you enjoyed watching the online tutorial today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me via my website or my Instagram, Cali Creations. I'm only too happy to help. And for those of you who purchased the DIY Chunky Knit Cushion Kit, thank you very much.